All right, here we go. It's time for another live stream in which I'm doing tarot readings and such on anything really, but the main topic tonight is climate change on this episode. And I kind of sketched out what I'm going to look at because I've heard different scenarios about what level of climate change will occur in this century, and what level of temperature change, what level of glaciers will be melting, and what that will mean in terms of sea levels, what which areas of the planet will actually be put underwater, and which will maybe everything will be under control and there won't be any major sea change. Probably not, but I'm going to take a look at all these things and kind of a general outline that I see between now. I'm probably going to take a look at a few different years, maybe 2030, 2050, and then 2100. And I kind of also want to see what level of human intervention might still be possible, or in the future might be possible, with new technologies that are emerging to influence the environment, to influence the amount of sunlight hitting the earth, to influence cloud cover and so on. I think I feel a sneeze coming on. No, I guess not. Okay. I guess I can't even predict my own sneezes. All right. So if anyone's out there, is the volume on? Yeah, the volume's on. I know one of these days I'm going to forget to turn on the volume, and I'm just going to be, you'll have to lip read the entire thing. But as far as I know, the volume is on, and I don't know if anyone's watching yet, but it's okay. I just begin when I begin. It says, yeah, okay. Anyways, let's keep going. And if you do arrive, feel free to chime in. If you don't arrive, then who am I talking to? So, first one, why don't we take a look first at the current energy level with climate change and attempts to rein it in, and attempts different countries to create some kind of unified front and plan about it. Let's see what we come up with. Yeah, I think I'm going to read like this. I kind of like this because then I don't have to mess with the camera, and I can just keep talking to you as I do this. So, the current energy, the current willpower, is it something still on people's minds? I mean, obviously it is, but like, how serious are they about it? So I'm seeing a King of Wands, which is a very it's a very feeling of in chargeness. Is that a word? It's a very strong feeling that this is something that we can act on, but we have to be very creative about it. That's what Wands is all about, is creativity, and the simple plans, and we have to pull something out of the minds, the collective imagination of planet Earth, that will allow us to think bigger than just the small incremental steps that we're taking, reducing reliance on fossil fuels and shifting towards more other attempts at things like solar and wind power. But even those produce a lot of carbon just to manufacture solar panels and so on. So I don't feel like we've necessarily found the amazing technology yet, or we haven't perfected anything that at this point is going to get us out of it. But this is overall a positive outlook. But is the King of Wands perhaps being overconfident? We'll take a look. Let's take a look now at, I kind of want to see, why don't I do the years? This may not be a very long tarot reading, but I'm going to look at the year 2030, three different energy streams: 2030, 2050, and 2100. So, about 8 years, and then about, let me do the math, 28 years, and then about, I don't know, a lot of years. What is that, 78 years? So three different scales. Let's look at those. So first, I did something similar to this with my look at the attempts to build lunar colonies and get off planet Earth to the moon. So let's do that now with climate change, the overall pattern through the years. So 2030, let's begin there. And for that, And I'll look at each one and then I'll tell you what I think it means. These energies. 2030, I'm seeing. All right, 2030, I'm seeing the King of Cups, another king. Interesting. Okay, so that's 2030, 8 years from now. And now I'll look at 2050. What is the overall energy going to be relating to climate change and how it affects humanity, our relationship with it in 2050? How will that affect the life of all beings on planet Earth? 2050 seems so far away, and yet when I was a kid, 2022 seemed far away, and here we are. So maybe 2050 will be here in a blink of an eye. All right, interesting. Ace of Swords came up. Ace of Swords for 2050. And finally, I'll look at 2100. This reminds me also that I did a reading on artificial intelligence, AI, and I did a similar timescale thing that I think all these timescales can be integrated together and see a larger picture of what we can expect in the next few years. If you're not subscribed to my channel, feel free to do so, because I do tarot readings all the time on literally any subject that you guys think is interesting and that I also think is interesting. And anything that you're curious about, just leave a comment or bring it up during a tarot reading live. And if it's a big subject, I do a reading on it. But if it's not a big subject, if it's more niche, then I'll just do a reading at the end of my readings. So like today, if anyone has any issue, just comment and I'll get to it. So I'm looking now at the 3 time scales for climate change. I looked at 2030, I looked at 2050, and now I'm looking at 2100 to see the overall pattern. And I'll talk in a minute about what these 3 energies mean, what these 3 energies portend. 2100. Will any of us be alive then? Will I still be doing tarot readings in 2100? But all right, 2100. Interesting. I'm seeing the 4 of Wands. So again, this is the overall pattern I saw emerging. Okay, let's see, from left to right for you is going to be. Well, anyway, so this is 2030. And this is a very emotional card. And then this is 2050, the Ace of Swords. And then this is 2100, the 4 of Wands. So what I think this means, with 2030, I'm seeing this King of Cups, and this is the height of an emotion, height of an emotional experience, very powerful emotions. And I'm guessing by 2030, there's going to be a lot more change that has happened, and a lot of things have, a lot of weather events have continued by then, and that people are starting to get really excited by it in a lot of different ways, and a lot of negative emotions around it, I think. And but from this, a lot of times, with the King of Cups, a lot of times it can lead to action. With the Queen of Cups, sometimes it can lead to paralysis and kind of a sulking, but King of Cups is more likely to act on it. So I think in that sense, this is positive, because it means that there's a greater chance for us to act on it. It'd be better if we acted on it sooner, but it seems like we're kind of, as usual, procrastinating and just kind of leaving it for the next generation. That seems to be a scenario that is playing out. And then for 2050, the Ace of Swords, this is a really strategy card. So I think this is kind of indicating, I think, that energy that I was talking about that we have to pull out of the creative imagination of humanity. I think this is a technology or a greater control of weather in some form that we don't yet have access to. And it's going to be much beyond our current technologies. This isn't just going to be, things like solar power and wind turbines. This is going to be much more. I can't even describe it yet because it's not here. It's very. I can't see it. I can only see the energy around it, but it is going to be very powerful. And I did see in my reading on AI, my artificial intelligence, that 2040 is going to be really when AI really starts to have a handle on planet Earth in both a positive and a negative way. Well, it's I don't think it's going to be even describable as positive or negative. It's going to be just like part of our blood at that point. so so I think at that point AI will really be the one making these decisions about climate change and acting on it. So yeah, and then for 2100, I'm seeing this, which is, I think this is a pretty good outlook. This is by then a more positive outlook, but I'm seeing in the near term a lot of strife, a lot of confusion, a lot of negative emotions that are building. But I think by 2100, a lot of the things will be more within. Things will be starting to be more balanced on planet Earth again, finally. But it will take most of the century. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing. Let's take a look at the scenarios, though, about climate change. What degree of like sea level rise, for example, can we expect? And because that's something that comes up a lot in climate change is, sea level rising, which some low-lying countries, even low-lying states like Florida. Florida is mostly, I don't know how long. There's like hardly any hills at all in Florida. So what if all of Florida was suddenly chopped off by the ocean? That'd be pretty devastating. Can we expect something like that, or is it just going to be like 6 inches? Is it going to be 6 inches or 6 feet? What is the degree of sea level rise that we can expect? Let's say between now and 2040. A card came out, but I didn't feel like, I was kind of distracted. It didn't feel like the energy. Between now and 2040, sea level rise. What level of devastation, or will it affect anyone at all? Well, it's already affected some low-lying countries and islands. Okay, interesting. This is the Eight of Wands, and this is for a card looking into the future. It's kind of a bit of a frustrating card because it's the up in the air card, I call it, because we've basically done what we can. Well, we're doing a lot still, but there's only so much that can be done at this point. And normally with this card, I just say wait and see because it's like no point in stressing about it. But I'm feeling, in terms of like whether it's closer to 6 inches or 6 feet, I'm kind of feeling that it's more closer to not necessarily 6 feet, but in the feet range. Like I feel like it could be at least 1 to 2 feet of riding more ocean rise between now and 2040. Yeah, I feel like there's a lot. Yeah, it doesn't look very positive. I don't know if you want to buy a home anywhere low lying between now and 2040. I think this is what I was talking about with that 2030 energy, that there is a lot of people going to be fretting and suffering because of this. Let's see, what else can we look at? I don't know. I was going to look at the level of human, like if there's going to be any major human interventions, and I'm seeing it, but I think it's closer to like 2050 than 2040. But let me see if there's going to be any major new technologies that will help us battle this between now and 2040. And I'm seeing Between now and 2040, any major new technologies emerging that will help us ease climate change. And I'm going to look to also at other natural disasters, but right now I'm just looking at the emergence of new technologies that will be propitious in obviating the effect of climate change. All right. I'm seeing a justice card, which I don't feel like there's going to be any major technology between now and 2040. I think it's just basically continuing what we're already doing, trying to invest in different technologies that are less reliant on fossil fuels. And yeah, I don't feel like it's going to make a major improvement. I don't feel like we're going to have a huge, of the climate scenarios, the temperature ranges, I feel like we are going to be closer to the mid, upper, based on this. Yeah. Let me look at natural disasters between now and 2040, what that's going to look like. And I'm not expecting any great. I think what I need to do though is ask what we can do, what energy we can bring into the world that can help us, that we should be all thinking about. But first, let me look at natural disasters between now and 2040. And if you have any questions relating to climate change or anything else, feel free to ask. But otherwise, I probably won't talk too long tonight. And the natural disasters I was looking at between now and 2040. All right. I'm saying the Four of Cups, and this is, I think when I saw in 2030 that King of Cups emerging as a really emotional response by that point, the younger generations especially are going to be very agitated by the whole older generation's indifference to a lot of climate change. And I think, though in this case scenario, this cup I'm seeing is more like this is humanity and this is planet Earth kind of saying hey, now you're trying to do something. Yeah, I think there's not going to be a lot of changes. I think we're going to basically still have the same level of natural disasters that we've had occurring, droughts, earthquakes, floods, and so on. Actually, I don't know. Are earthquakes connected with climate change? I feel like I've heard that, but I can't remember how or why. But anyways, since I don't want to leave you on a total downer, I always like to ask, what energy can we bring into the world to veer the path as strongly as possible, to help as many people as possible, and bring the highest energy into the world so that we alleviate suffering as much as possible and bring more harmony into the world. What energy can we bring? You, I, all of us. That will send us into a better universe relating to this. All right. I'm seeing the Emperor. And in terms of climate change, I think, the Emperor is a very firm person, a very strong person who is very willful and very powerful. So I think relating to this, it's just a matter of deciding, I guess, what kind of planet we want to live on and acting from that energy. The Emperor is very hard to sway. So if we decide that, or if you decide that you want to do something that will help others, I guess you're the only one that can really force yourself to stick to it. So consider what you can do and what you want to do that will affect others in this world in a positive way, and be very firm in your intentions. That's what I'm seeing for what you can do relating to climate change. Yeah, I think that's all I have to really say. If anyone has any other questions about it at this point, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I'll sign off. Or if you have any personal issues you want me to read on, just let me know. And yeah, I guess not. So I will call it a night. And yeah, thank you for tuning in. And I don't know what I'm going to do for my next talk, but hope to see you there. Bye.